Hello and welcome to another edition of Offset with Kinger and the Big Man, alongside Dave Caulfield. He's the big man, and a very tall man in between us as well. Equally big, Scott Blasey of the Clarks. I'm Rob King. Thanks for being with us. Scott, thank you very much for being with us. We're going to have a ton of fun with this. We want to mention quickly that the podcast here at North Park Lounge and the production of One Team is brought to you by Rourke Automotive Group, the Rourke Automotive Advantage, which offers lifetime engine warranty, lifetime state inspection, lifetime oil changes on all new vehicles purchased. Jay, I know you've got yourself a Rourke car sitting right now.
Dave takes care of all of us, everybody. He does such a great job, and their staff, his staff, couldn't be happier with the service I get. So, Dave, we're very happy you're part of our team here.
And we are just delighted to have Scott Blasey with us, who's a huge sports fan. And, of course, as you know, the lead guy at the Clarks, the singer, a frequent songwriter for the group. And we're just delighted to have you with us, Scott.
Thanks for having me, Rob J. It's really a pleasure to be here.
So let's dive a little bit. We're going to talk about the sports angle a little bit. Let's just dive into a little bit of your background for people. Grew up in Connellsville, right?
Connellsville and Fayette County.
Fayette County, of course, coming up in another song down the line. When did you know you wanted to get into music? What kind of music did you listen to? When did it, when was that really your main interest?
Mm-hmm. I fell in love with music at a very, very early age. I remember my first memory, I was 4 years old. Was hanging out with my grandmother, and I heard Crystal Blue Persuasion by Tom Bells. And I said, Grandma, let's walk up to Atkins Music Center in Connellsville, and you should buy me the little 45. Yeah. Because we had those little plastic record players, like a little...
absolutely. Yeah, the suitcase. No doubt. That's exactly what I had.
The little thing in the middle, too, the little yellow thing. Yeah.
Listen to the Monkees, the Beatles albums, and the 45s on there. I got a brand new pair of roller skates. Anyway, so
Grandma walked me up to Atkins and bought me the 45. I had a little ice cream on the walk home. And,
you even remember the ice cream.
Rose's ice cream. It's a very vivid memory. I was probably 4 or 5 years old. And then my father and mom loved music. My dad had music playing around the house a lot. Everything from Bill Withers to Jim Croce to Bobby Darin.
Wow.
Many different genres. He just loved good music, didn't care what kind of music it was. And just absorbed that as a kid growing up. Never played any instruments. Grew up playing baseball, basketball, football. Never played any instruments. It wasn't until I got to IUP in the late 80s that I had a couple of friends that had guitars on the dormitory hall and sat around and played Beatles songs and Neil Young songs. And I just had an aptitude for it and met Rob and Dave, and they said, hey, let's start a band. They were impressed by my spiky hair and parachute pants.
The Brady Bunch, the suit fit.
Did Motown have any impact?
Oh, yeah. Motown was huge. My dad just loved soul music, so grew up listening to a lot of Motown stuff.
That's awesome.
Jay and I are both big music fans, and I fell in love with music at 4 too. The problem was music didn't fall back in love with me, but you got to have the talent to be able to pursue that. And I'm glad you did. And so were the influences disparate? I mean, you're born in 1964. It's hard not to imagine the Beatles having a big impact.
Yeah, and I can remember firsthand late 60s, early 70s as a young boy hearing songs like Something and Here Comes the Sun on the radio. And then in the 70s, I was sort of 6 to 16, which are very formative years for, discovering new music and grew up on the music of the 70s, songs that were on the radio, AM radio, FM radio. Just fell in love with all that. So the Beatles were huge.
And you're talking about disco and punk and there's a huge variety of music.
Loved it all. Yeah. Disco too. And I had no problem admitting, a lot of my friends, their favorite bands were Boston and Kiss. And at the time, mine was the Commodores.
Yeah. No, that's good stuff, man.
No problem with that. And then, but then when you talk about the punk stuff, I remember seeing something on TV and it was Dangerous. And I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. And then we were talking about Elvis Costello earlier, and you sort of discover that sort of new wave that the sort of the marriage of disco and punk turned into a whole other thing. So
it was like a Tom Petty, right? Elvis Costello, they're starting to make their move. I was going to ask you about real quick, because you guys brought up the Beatles. Did you feel like there was a time frame where the Beatles were just very very innocent songs that all of a sudden went to Strawberry. You know how their music changed when they're on the Ed Sullivan Show early, and simple songs, and then it evolved to deeper music.
In an
Feel that?
unbelievably short period of time. You're
Right.
talking 3 or 4 years.
I Want to Hold Your Hand to Strawberry Fields. It was 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah, that's gonna long.
Well, they're putting out 3 albums,
Right.
3 albums a year.
Right.
Right. But how about that too? Like I remember looking at like Creedence Clearwater Revival. Remember how they just churned out hit after hit? They had a year where they put out 3 albums in 1 year. 3 albums. But the Beatles, we'll never ever see anything like that. And of course, you have to be at the cusp of something happening to have the opportunity to do that. But just when you think about that variety, that change, it's astonishing.
It really is. And I did a deep dive when I went to college. I mean, I always liked the Beatles growing up, and then hit college and really dug into all those albums and all the deep cuts and even the stuff that weren't hits are just brilliant songs.
Brilliant. Absolutely.
I think that you didn't really play an instrument until at IUP.
Right.
It's kind of an amazing.
16.
Yeah, that's kind of wild to me.
Yeah.
Well, but you had a natural, you have the voice that goes with it, but the instrument side to me is kind of amazing.
Yeah, I learned on the fly. I mean, we probably did a gig 6 months after I picked up a guitar for the first time.
Yep.
Scared to death.
Did you play the guitar at the gig?
Yeah.
Wow.
Not very well, but
So, I mean, we're jumping around a little bit, but I want to ask you about writing. Like, could you write without a guitar? Do you have to have an instrument to write?
Yes, I suppose you could do it without, but I did it with. I was able to start writing pretty early on, after about a year or two of playing cover songs. It only really takes 3 chords and your imagination, and I was able to start writing pretty early on. So, but I had it. I was playing guitar when I was doing it.
So here's the question that our listeners really want to know before we get into the music. Did you ever put a beer in Jimmy Stewart's hand? The statue.
No, never did.
Wasn't that a big thing at IUP to put a beer can? Jimmy Stewart, he was a good waste one, Rob. Were you playing it? Yeah. No way. That's good course management. Yeah, don't try it to Jimmy when I could use it.
So Scott, we talked a little bit off air here. Steve Hanson's a great friend of all of ours and a local DJ in Pittsburgh for so many years. And he had mentioned there was a songwriter's night that I think the question was posed to everybody that was there. If there was one hit or one song that you wish you had written, what would that have been in your mind? So back then,
I'd go with Allison by Elvis Costello.
Yeah.
I mean, and we talked too about What's So Funny About Peace, Love, and Understanding, which is actually written by a guy named Nick Lowe.
Oh, yeah.
Cool to be,
right.
Yeah, you're right. Look,
Yeah, right there, brother.
It's awesome. I love that. I mean, that kind of music, that was
So
early 80s.
awesome.
Then that was early 80s, right? Yeah.
Or that was late 70s. 77, I think, is when My Aim Is True came out.
It's awesome. Awesome.
Such a great song. Yeah. So It Goes by Niccolo, too. Another great song.
So if you had that, how hard is it? Like, we sit there as just a general public, listen to songs. How do you tune out other songs that are great songs in your head to come up with your own, hit or own words or the riff or the music that goes with it without falling into something else?
Sometimes you do start working on something, you'll think, oh, that sounds a little too much like this or that.
Okay.
But most of the time, I find it's a fairly original idea, and it's songwriting. The process is sometimes it can be a craft. It takes weeks or months and sometimes even years to craft a song.
Yeah.
And other times it's just this instant inspiration, and it just feels like it's out there in the ether, and you put your antenna up and you sort of channel it through you, and it's in a half an hour you've got something that wasn't there previously.
That's awesome.
So
it's a cool
Find it amazing.
There's a story that Irving Berlin wrote, White Christmas, and brought the sheet music to a group of people and said, I've just written the greatest Christmas song of all time. So he knew right away that he had one. Do you know right away when you say, wow, that is really good? Or does it have to sort of stand the test of time?
Both. Sometimes there have been times where I've written a song and it's a very emotional thing, and it'll bring me to tears, and I'll think that's a really good song. And generally something that's real personal and is a powerful thing. Other times it takes recognition from an outside source. I'll never forget I wrote Born Too Late, which is a very popular Clark song.
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't really, I liked it, but I didn't think that much of it. And I remember Dave, our drummer, said to me, he said, "That's the best song you've ever written."
Wow.
And I thought, well,
No, that's pretty good. That's pretty awesome.
it's cool,
Yeah.
And so sometimes, yeah, to hear that from somebody else, it means a lot.
I had the opportunity to meet Kim Simmons, who was the guitar player for and lead singer Hellbound Train. Anyway, English rock group. So I asked him. There's a song that they had, and I'll come up with the name of the group in a minute. It'll make you happy, and it's a terrific song. So I asked him, I've seen your concert list. You never played that in concert. And he said, yeah, we tried it and we liked it, and audiences just didn't take to it.
Yeah.
Do you have a bunch of songs where you're like, do you just play what the audience wants? But are there songs where you're like, well, we really like this one. We kind of wish the audience appreciated this one more.
We try to, there's a balance there. We definitely want to play the songs that, people are there to hear, and they pay their hard-earned money, and they come to see the band, and they want to hear Penny on the Floor. They want to hear Cigarette. Yeah. And if we don't do it, there's going to be a riot.
And they're your loyal fans.
They are, and they deserve that. Yep. And we're fine with that. And I still enjoy playing those songs. There's a lot of enjoyment that we get out of listening to people sing back the words to our music.
Right.
But on the other hand, there are songs that we love to play that maybe they don't get the audience reaction that we would hope for, but we still play them because it has to be special for us too.
Right. Sad Boy Brown, by the way.
So there you go.
Sad Boy Brown. So
you and Rob we were talking off air. So many great songs. What does it take to be how does somebody get that play that it jumps out and, as Rob, you mentioned, takes it to the different level, national, and your song is better than somebody else's, and they get the look. What might be a difference the years that you've been over all these years? What do you find that to be the difference?
In the late 80s and early 90s, when we were starting out, it was really about money. Are you on a record company that is willing to spend the money that's necessary to get you on the radio or to make the video and get you on MTV or VH1?
Yeah, because
now the industry has changed so drastically from those days, and it started to change in the early 2000s with downloading and Napster and everything, and so
has that been a plus? Has that been a plus for the Clarks that it's gone that way?
No.
Yeah, that's kind of.
We were very fortunate. We sort of hit it at the right time. We were an independent band in the 90s. We started selling CDs. We were able to have a relationship with a distributor here in town that we were able to get our CDs into the record stores in Western Pennsylvania and Eastern Ohio. So, and then as soon as you start selling 10, 20, 30,000 CDs, record companies start sniffing around. They smell money.
Yeah.
And so we were able to develop a following that way. These days, it's so social media driven. It's all about followers. How many followers?
Yeah.
So sure. I don't know how young artists do it. But there are. But that being said, there are people who, if you've got the talent, now you don't need the record company. You can go straight to the audience.
Yeah,
it's got this. There's a guy named Billy Strings. Not sure if you're.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Billy.
Absolutely.
He's an incredible songwriter and instrumentalist.
Guitarist. Yeah. Right.
I mean, he's selling out arenas, and he just broke through on sheer talent.
Yeah.
It is. We can have a larger discussion on this, but I shared the story before we went on of when I moved to Pittsburgh 25 years ago, and not familiar with the Clarks. I heard the song "Better Off Without You" on the radio, and just assumed it was another national hit. I said it reminded me of the song "Good" by Better Than Ezra, which is a massive hit for them, and had that power pop. Can't explain, that good sort of driving beat to it. And I just assumed it was a national hit and was stunned to find out it wasn't a number one hit around the nation.
Right.
So that's, is that discouraging or?
It was at the time. Yeah, it was very discouraging. And we did get some traction with that song nationally. It did get played on the radio in a lot of different places, and we got to tour nationally, and we made a lot of new fans with that song. It got really big around here. But going back to the money thing, we were on a record label called Razor and Tie, which is what they consider a major independent label. It had major label distribution, but just didn't quite have the deep pockets to get it on the air everywhere else.
Did you feel like once you were at that company, record company, and probably under contract, so that possibly could have been a plus, but then the negative might be that you're kind of locked into them, that maybe you could have jumped, or somebody with deeper pockets maybe could have been a little help. But I can't even imagine that world of, even just as an athlete world with agents and what you have to deal with. I can't imagine on that side how they might own.
Yeah.
Now they have you. You have to give something up to get that kind of deal.
They own the recordings and depending on publishing, the songwriting, that's a different thing. But we were on a major label prior to that deal. We were on MCA for an album in '97, and it just didn't go anywhere. And they dropped the band, and that was probably one of the low points of our career. Like, what are we going to do now? So we sort of regrouped. We made a live album, which we were able to get back on our feet again, and then we had a few years to write some good songs like Better Off Without You and Born Too Late, and put out the Let It Go album in 2000. We were very lucky in the Pittsburgh market. There were some alternative stations that really appealed to a younger audience that started playing those songs and Better Off Without You. And we jumped down to a younger generation. We were very fortunate to appeal to a younger crowd.
Art is... there's nothing quite like it. Like in sports, we probably played on teams with a player or two. You're like, I wonder why that guy's not getting more playing time. And sometimes that guy was us, right? But usually the players that are great will get out there. I'm sure there's a number of athletes that didn't get the opportunity, whatever. But when you think about art, like I think about movies that I like that other people don't like, or that they like that I don't like. Groups or artists that I love, whether it's James McMurtry or NRBQ or Chuck Prophet, and I think, why is this guy not massive with the Clarks? Right. Why are they not massive? Why is this person a star on Broadway and not this person who maybe has just as good a voice? Right. It's a subjective world in so many ways. There's breaks, there's money, it's crazy. There's movies like The Harder They Come with Jimmy Cliff, The Replacements. You could see bands falling apart that way or things happening. Right. There's just so much that goes into that little tiny people at the top that somehow break through.
Right. And
it's not always ability or talent or songs.
No, not at all. In fact, there are so many talented musicians and bands that we've played with over the years. And I felt the same way. Like, there's a band from Connecticut I've been listening to lately called The Alternate Roots. So I'm like, why aren't they huge? This song should be as popular as anything else. And
I'm writing that down. The Alternate Roots.
All a song called Time is a Runaway. Let's give that a listen.
Okay, you got
that. Isn't a hit.
All right.
A buddy of mine from New York City, Julian Villard, who lives in Los Angeles now, piano player, is phenomenal. And you think, how can he not be more well known?
Right.
That being said, when I was younger, I was certainly a period I was very disappointed that we didn't reach the height that I thought we were going to, or that I certainly wanted to. As I've gotten older, I'm just grateful to have a career in music.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I don't want to lose that part of it. I think our point is that we think.
Is it maybe who you know? Guys, it's a who you know thing, like you're talking about band?
Yes, for sure.
I mean, just like you talked about your record label, and maybe somebody gets ahead because, look, we even know there's guys in our sporting world that maybe gets contracted only because they're in the right place at the right time. Somebody else, there's guys sitting places that maybe deserve that opportunity. Okay. I'm sure that has a lot to do with it too.
Yeah, but I'm just happy to.
Happy. Yeah, and we're happy. You cranked out the great music you have. Did you ever do much touring? Did the Clarks do a lot of touring?
Yeah.
What's life like on the road?
Well, we did about a 10-year span from the mid '90s to the mid 2000s, and then a little 5-year run of really extensive 200 shows a year.
Wow.
From coast to coast, all the time. Really fun for a while.
Yeah.
And then it's a grind. It's not easy. And you're spending your days, in clubs and drinking too much and smoking too much, and just, it's not healthy. It's just not a healthy way to live. I'm sure at a certain level of success that you can live a healthier.
Yeah, Mick Jagger's on the treadmill every morning. Yeah, but he can afford to be.
He can afford to be.
Right. He's not piling out of a van to do his show.
I saw
Chuck
keep a relationship.
I was going to say, I saw Chuck Prophet and his band climb into a van. He has a song, Florida Econoline. Yeah. They climb into a van to go on to the next show. I'm like, you got 5 people in a van. This is a national guy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but Jay, go ahead.
I was only going to add to that, like, I would find a band that can be together for that long, your length of time with the Clarks, it's got to be strong relationships. You got to be able to deal with the ups and downs and then not turn on each other. At a time of when it's going a little sideways, maybe.
Right. There were definitely challenging years where, we may not be communicating very well, and we just get on stage, we do what we have to do, we go to work, and that's it, and then we get away from each other. Because when you're spending that much time together, it can be challenging. But it's very much a family thing now. We've added 3 guys. We're a 7-piece band now, and our guitar player and songwriter is Dave, the drummer's son, Noah. He's in his late 20s. So the ages from the band are 28 to, we added a pedal steel player, Gary Jacob, Gary's probably, I don't know, pushing 70s.
Yeah.
But it's awesome, and it's a family affair. My middle daughter Ava has been singing with the band a little bit lately, so that's great. But the 4 of us have a relationship now that is really strong. It's a brotherhood.
It's very
You guys know how that is.
Yeah,
we do.
Very much so.
Yeah, and the other thing too about that, not only is it the grind, because it sounds great. Oh, you're going to you're probably meeting girls and going to new places, and you're playing your music. Of course, you have to make penny on the floor or whatever sound good and new every single time for 200 days out of the year when you might not be in the mood to play that song. That's one thing that strikes me. The other is I remember I went to Mr. Smalls and I saw JJ Gray and Mo Fro group, and they've got a big band, like 7 people in the band. And I'm sitting there counting the house and thinking, I think I paid $20 to get in. And I'm like, well, how much money could actually be being made? And then what about the warm-up band? A friend of mine's a promoter, and he said they might get $50 for gas. They had like a 10-piece band. So if you're the opening act,
right,
and you're playing some of these theaters, you're not making any money.
You're just scraping by.
Wow.
And you might be putting out the word on social media, hey, is there somewhere we can crash after the show so we don't have to buy hotel rooms? Any fans out there want to let us sleep on the couch?
Wow.
So, Rob,
that's remarkable.
Okay, so what about our journey to watch them in Oakmont, right? So a couple of years ago, so Rob and I, wife Felicia and Megan, Rob's wife, we had a great night. So we get down to Oakmont. What's the theater that we're in?
The Oaks.
The Oaks.
Yeah, the Oaks. Yeah.
So we go there, but the crowd was awesome.
And we didn't know it was general admission. That was the first.
Yeah, we know.
We didn't
But it didn't
know
matter. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So we go, just because the atmosphere that follows you, your band, was fun. So we're there. Everybody was so we go, we got to go sit in our seat. No, we stayed in the back, and people were just buying us, very nice.
Yeah.
It was like a band. It was like an atmosphere, and the music, it sounded phenomenal. So our experience was one of the best ever in a theater that was your fan base and your band. You put on a great show, and we had Rob and I had a great time. Right by the doors. Right by the doors.
I will say
the wives drive home.
Oh yeah.
You all take care of it.
Megan's very good that way. My way. So I will say this. I'm glad I've seen the Clarks on several occasions because we didn't actually see the Clarks. We were looking through the Clarks.
Yeah.
We couldn't see. People were going, we're sitting in the back just listening to it.
But we're sitting in the back. But it was dynasty. It was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
It was awesome.
We didn't have to get up. I don't think we had to get up one time because they just kept bringing us, people were bringing us beers, and it was a great.
You guys are celebrities.
Well, no, I don't know what it was, but somehow they saw us there and they were so nice. I said, the fan base is outstanding, but the sound, the music was just, it's such a great time. I mean, and what you do is,
thank you.
I mean, it really is awesome. We loved that night.
We have great fans. Our fans are just phenomenal.
Do you love playing in Pittsburgh?
Beautiful people.
And you probably have to pick your, you can't play every week in Pittsburgh.
No, the band,
you have to pick your spots.
Yeah, we have to pick our spots. We have a bit of a schedule. We do a big Stage AE outdoor show in late June, and we always do the outside at Acroshore Labor Day weekend on the Friday night, and then we'll do the Oaks Theater, those kind of things in the wintertime, and But you're right, you can't. I mean, you can't play here once a month. The crowds will dwindle, and you have to pick your spots. And we'll still travel a little bit. We'll go to Philly and New York and D.C. and Cleveland and Columbus. I like to sleep in my own bed at night, so we don't travel like we used to. But
nice.
But you're going to markets too. Going to Philly, going to places like that. You got to be, it's to me, you have to be top of your game when you go each and every night you go to play.
absolutely.
We also know you're going to the Fayette County Fair, which I think is the greatest. Which I love that. So can you tell? So what's it like when you're at the fair?
Well, we go on after the pig races.
It's phenomenal. That's great. That's
It is going on. We were talking about this earlier. Cigarette came out in 1994, which references the Fayette County Fair, and it got popular on the radio around here. So by 95 or 96, we started playing at the fair, and we've done it every year since. And we're looking at almost 30 years in a row at the Fayette County Fair.
That's tremendous.
And we always play in a big pavilion. For about a 3 or 4 year span, when the band was really at its height, early 2000s or so, they moved us out into the outdoor arena where they do the Smash Up Derby. So,
see, that's to me, that's a story in itself.
It's also the people down there are wonderful, and to do a little people watching, we'll do the sound check, and then we'll just go out into the midway and get an Italian sausage or something, and just watch the people. It's
and cigarettes got to get a huge ovation.
If you're a diehard Clarks fan, you've got to see us at the Fayette County Fair at least one time.
I need to do it because I've seen you at the Butler County Fair. By the way, I saw the Stage AE show a couple of years ago where you had some other Gathering Field came back together and played, and you had some other local bands. But I need to get that one off my Clark's bucket list for sure. Listen, we have so much more we want to talk about with Scott Blasey. So this is part one with Scott Blasey. We're going to talk about Scott is a huge sports fan.
Big time.
Huge sports fan. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to get you to play the guitar next time too. Oh, that's fantastic stuff. So we want to thank once again our friends at Rourke Automotive Group and the Rourke Automotive, the Rourke Advantage, which is what they have when you buy a new car. There, you get a lifetime engine warranty, lifetime state inspection, lifetime oil changes. We love Rourke. We thank them for sponsoring with us. Thanks One Team for shooting this for us. Our home away from home here, North Park Lounge, always good. Maybe get some lunch in you, Scott, before we get out of here.
I think I might have a gig here now.
That's it. Yeah. Hey, listen, everything's turning out well. So, and we want to thank you, of course, for watching. For Jay Caulfield, Scott Blasey, myself, thank you for watching this edition of Offset with Kinger and the Big Man.